Today, we are diving into a book that has inspired millions with its timeless wisdom, Life's Greatest Lessons by Hal Urban. This isn't just another self-help book. It's a guide to the principles that truly matter: attitude, habits, choices, and the way we respond when life feels unfair. Too often, we chase success in the form of money, recognition, or status, only to find ourselves stressed, empty, or unfulfilled. But Hal Urban reminds us that real success comes from within. It comes from the choices we make each day, the habits we build, and the character we develop along the way. In this summary, you'll discover lessons that will help you manage time like successful people do, transform failures into stepping stones, strengthen your attitude, and unlock the hidden potential already inside you. These insights are simple, practical, and powerful enough to change the way you live your everyday life. So stay with me until the end, because the principles you're about to hear may just shift your perspective and give you the clarity to live a more meaningful, successful, and fulfilling life. Success is more than making money. When we hear the word success, most people instantly think of money, power, or status. Society often tells us that success is measured by the size of your bank account, the house you live in, or the recognition you receive from others. But the truth is, real success goes much deeper than wealth or fame. At its core, success is about bringing out the very best that lies within us. It is about living with integrity, nurturing our talents, and creating a life filled with meaning and purpose. Money itself is not the enemy. There is nothing wrong with being financially secure, living in comfort, or even becoming wealthy. But problems arise when the pursuit of money turns into greed. Greed blinds us. It pushes us to chase wealth at any cost, often leading to choices that damage our values, our relationships, and even our peace of mind. When money becomes the only yardstick of success, we lose sight of what truly matters. History has shown us plenty of examples of people who rose to great financial heights only to fall just as quickly because of greed. In the 1980s, the financier Ivan Boesky was hailed as a genius in the financial world. He famously declared, "In today's world, only the rich are successful." Yet within a short time, he was behind bars for insider trading. His empire, built on dishonesty and unchecked desire, came crashing down. The same was true for corporate giants like Enron. Once celebrated as a powerhouse of innovation, the company collapsed spectacularly when its leaders chose deception and greed over integrity. Thousands of employees lost their jobs, investors were ruined, and even retirement plans evaporated overnight. The pursuit of money without principle led not to success, but to disaster. Even outside such scandals, the obsession with wealth has quietly stolen happiness from countless lives. Surveys conducted with thousands of business executives reveal a startling truth. More than half of them admitted they were deeply unhappy. Despite earning high salaries and holding powerful positions, they felt unfulfilled. For many, their careers had overshadowed their families, their health, and their inner peace. What they had gained in money, they had lost in joy. True success is not about always being at the top, nor is it about accumulating more and more. It is about striving to do our best in whatever we take on, no matter how big or small the task may be. Success is found in living with honesty, giving your best effort, and making a positive difference in the lives of others. When you look within yourself, you will find abilities and strengths you didn't even know you had. By nurturing those inner resources, you create a success that is lasting and fulfilling. And perhaps the most important reminder of all, money can buy comfort, but it can never buy happiness. Happiness comes from living a life of balance, love, growth, and purpose. When we stop chasing wealth for its own sake and instead focus on becoming the best version of ourselves, we discover that true success has been within us all along. Life is hard and not always fair. Life is a journey that never truly stops teaching us. Along the way, we experience both joy and sorrow, triumph and disappointment. If we had a choice, most of us would prefer a world without pain, struggle, or loss, a world where everything unfolded just as we wished. But real life is not like the world we imagine in our dreams. Life can be tough, unpredictable, and often unfair. The truth is, each of us must walk through seasons of difficulty, and those hardships become part of what shapes our character. When challenges appear, our first instinct is often to complain or ask, "Why is life so hard?" But in those very moments, we are faced with a choice. We can either give in to bitterness and self-pity, or we can summon the courage to face the struggle head-on. Happiness or despair, tears or strength, so much of it lies not in what happens to us, but in how we choose to respond. Hal Urban once shared a powerful story from his days as a teacher. A freshman student he had taught in world studies came to him one day, frustrated over a homework assignment. The student complained, saying the work was too difficult. With a calm smile, Hal replied, "Life is hard enough. This is just homework." At the time, the student may not have understood the full weight of those words, but years later, when Hal met him again, that same student expressed gratitude. He said, "That simple truth, 'Life is hard,' had stayed with him. It had given him the resilience to face difficulties with courage, and over time, it helped him grow into a stronger, wiser person." There is a kind of freedom that comes when we accept this reality. The moment we stop expecting life to be easy, we find the strength to deal with whatever comes our way. Struggles no longer feel like punishments. They become opportunities to grow, to adapt, and to rise again. Each obstacle, no matter how painful, can teach us something new about who we are and what we're capable of. But life is not only hard, it is also not always fair. Sometimes terrible things happen to good people. Sometimes we do everything right, yet the outcome still goes against us. Life may hand us heartbreak, loss, or injustice that we never saw coming. But in those moments, it helps to remember that we are not alone. Everyone, at some point, faces their share of suffering. Struggle is part of the human story, and knowing this can give us comfort and solidarity. Yes, life can be painful. It can feel unfair. But none of that means we should stop living or lose hope. The choice is always ours. We can surrender to despair, or we can decide to keep moving forward with courage and even with joy. We can smile in the middle of hardship. We can choose to remain hopeful, even when life seems unkind. That choice, to rise above our circumstances, to keep living fully despite the challenges, is one of the greatest powers we will ever have. We live by choice, not by chance. Every human being who comes into this world is given a remarkable gift, the freedom to choose how to live. Some may argue that we don't choose the circumstances of our birth, the family we are born into, or the struggles we inherit. That may be true. But what we always carry within us is the freedom to decide how we respond to whatever life brings, whether we meet hardship with courage or collapse under its weight, whether we face sorrow with tears or with determination. These choices are always ours. The tragedy is that many people forget this truth. They move through life as if everything is controlled by luck or fate, unaware that the choices they make each day are shaping their future. From the moment we wake up in the morning, we are presented with countless decisions, big and small. What attitude will we carry into the day? How will we treat others? What effort will we put into our work, our learning, our dreams? These choices may seem trivial in the moment, but they quietly build the foundation of our lives. Hal Urban himself reflected on this while studying philosophy at a Jesuit college. His professors often pushed their students to wrestle with life's deepest questions. Why are we here? What is the purpose of life? What is our relationship to God? The class would debate endlessly, and through these discussions, Hal came to a profound understanding of human freedom. On one occasion, during a debate about the existence of God, a student asked, "If God really exists, why is there so much suffering in the world? Why doesn't he simply remove pain, sadness, and problems?" It was a question that many people carry in their hearts. The teacher's answer was simple, yet deeply wise. He explained that if God removed every difficulty, our lives would lose their meaning. Without sorrow, we could never truly appreciate joy. Without tears, we would not value laughter. Without defeat, victory would have no sweetness. If every obstacle were erased, human beings would become like robots, stripped of the very experiences that give life depth and purpose. Perhaps this is why life was designed with both joy and struggle intertwined. It is not to punish us, but to allow us to grow, to discover strength we never knew we had, and to learn the power of choice. God, or life itself, has given us freedom. Not freedom from difficulty, but freedom to decide who we will become in the midst of it. Every day, we meet people who complain about their problems, about their bad luck, or about circumstances beyond their control. They spend so much energy resenting the unfairness of life, never realizing that this reaction only deepens their unhappiness. The truth is, we may not be able to control what happens to us, but we can always control how we respond. And in that response lies our greatest power. When we understand this, life begins to change. We stop blaming chance or fate and instead start living with intention. We begin to shape our character, define our values, and choose our attitudes. We gain the courage to create our own purpose. Step by step, decision by decision, we craft the life we want to live. In the end, our lives are not dictated by luck or circumstance. They are shaped by the choices we make, the values we hold, and the purpose we pursue. When we choose wisely, we discover that we are not at the mercy of chance. We are the authors of our own story. Attitude is a choice, the most important one you'll ever make. Every one of us faces challenges in life. Some struggles are small and fleeting, others are heavy and life-changing. We cannot avoid these difficulties, but we can decide how we will respond to them. That decision, our attitude, shapes everything. A positive attitude can lift us above hardship and point us in the right direction, while a negative one can trap us, pulling us deeper into despair. In many ways, our attitude is the compass that guides us through life. Think about it. Attitude affects how we think, how we feel, and how we react to every situation. It is like a lens through which we see the world. If the lens is clear and hopeful, life looks brighter. If the lens is clouded with bitterness, life feels dark. Over time, our attitude becomes both our greatest friend and our most dangerous enemy. It can enrich our lives, or it can slowly destroy us. And the remarkable thing is that this power lies entirely within us. One of the most powerful examples of this truth comes from Dr. Viktor Frankl, a Jewish psychiatrist who endured the unimaginable horrors of Nazi concentration camps during World War II. In those camps, Victor lost nearly everything: his freedom, his family, his career, and his home. He witnessed friends being tortured to death. He saw others lose all hope and take their own lives. Amid this suffering, Victor realized something extraordinary. The Nazis could strip him of his possessions, his dignity, even his health, but there was one freedom they could never take away: the freedom to choose his attitude. No guard, no command, no torture could control what went on inside his mind. He understood that his inner response, how he chose to interpret his suffering, how he chose to hold on to hope, was his own. And it was this freedom, this choice, that became his greatest source of strength. Frankel's positive attitude did not erase his pain, but it gave him the courage to endure. He survived when so many did not because his circumstances were easier, but because he refused to surrender his spirit. Later, he became a renowned psychiatrist and author of the book Man's Search for Meaning, where he taught the world that even in our darkest hours, we still have the power to choose. His story is a reminder that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. A positive attitude will not magically erase hardship, but it will give us the resilience to rise above it. It will help us find meaning in the struggle, strength in the pain, and hope where it seems none exists. So the question becomes, who will we choose to be? Will we, like Victor, hold on to courage and hope even in the face of despair? Or will we let bitterness consume us, like those prisoners who surrendered to hopelessness and despair? The choice is always ours, and it is the most important choice we will ever make. Habits are the key to all success. What we do once in a while matters little compared to what we do every single day. The actions we repeat, often without even thinking about them, slowly shape who we are. These repeated behaviors are what we call habits. And whether we realize it or not, our habits play a powerful role in deciding our future. We all develop both good habits and bad ones. Good habits move us forward, shaping us into stronger, wiser, and healthier people. Bad habits, on the other hand, quietly hold us back, limiting our potential. The danger is that many people never stop to examine their habits. They go through life unaware that their daily routines are either building them up or slowly tearing them down. The earlier we recognize our habits, the easier they are to change. A bad habit that has just begun is like a small plant, easy to pull out while its roots are shallow. But the longer we let it grow, the deeper the roots sink. Breaking it later becomes far more difficult. That's why awareness and discipline are so important early on. Changing habits is never simple, especially when the habit has been practiced for years or when it is turned into an addiction. It requires patience, time, and persistence. Change rarely happens overnight. Instead, it is a step-by-step process where progress may seem slow but builds over time into lasting transformation. Hal Urban shares a story that captures this truth. A middle-aged man had spent more than 30 years with the habit of swearing. To him, those words were nothing unusual. They had become so normal that he didn't even notice them. But others did. One day, a close friend confronted him. The friend gently pointed out that his constant swearing was shaping the way people saw him. His words were no longer just expressions. They had become his identity. People associated his language with his character. The friend asked him, "Do you really want others to see you this way? Do you feel good when you speak to people like that? Wouldn't it be better to earn respect and cooperation by speaking with kindness? For the first time, the man realized the weight of his words. What he had always considered harmless was actually offensive and damaging, both to others and to himself. He decided then that he needed to change. It wasn't easy, but with effort and commitment, he eventually broke free from that 30-year-old habit. This story reminds us of a simple truth. Many of our habits go unnoticed because they have become so deeply woven into our daily lives. We may even believe they are harmless, or worse, convince ourselves they are good. But once we recognize that a habit is harmful to our health, to our character, or to the people around us, we must summon the determination to change it. Ultimately, the control always lies in our own hands. Habits can either be chains that hold us down or tools that lift us higher. The choice is ours. And when we choose to build good habits, step by step, day by day, we unlock the key to true success. Successful people don't find time. They make time. Every single one of us is given the same gift each day, 24 hours. No more, no less. Yet if time is distributed equally, why do some people accomplish so much, while others always feel like they are falling behind? The difference does not lie in how much time we have, but in how we choose to use it. Successful people understand this truth better than anyone. They don't wait to find time, because time can't be found. They make time. They deliberately shape their days around what matters most, and in doing so, they create lives filled with progress, balance, and meaning. The way we spend our hours becomes the story of our lives. If we spend most of our time on trivial distractions, our lives become scattered and unfulfilled. But when we learn to focus our time on things that truly matter, growth, relationships, contribution, and health, our lives begin to transform. Years ago, the San Francisco Chronicle published an article about the modern struggle with time. According to the piece, nearly 80% of Americans felt as if time was slipping away too quickly, leaving them constantly behind on their tasks. They described their lives as a race they could never win. A few months later, a follow-up article explored this problem more deeply. People began reflecting on how they actually spent their hours, and the truth became clear. Much of their time was being wasted. They were filling their schedules with unnecessary obligations, clutter, and distractions. Once they realized this, many of them simplified their lives, cut out what didn't matter, and suddenly discovered more space to breathe, to enjoy, and to rest. By choosing differently, they gained more time without adding a single extra hour to their day. Most of us can relate to this feeling. We often say, "I just don't have enough time." But the reality is that time is not the issue. Priorities are. We try to do everything at once, chasing both the urgent and the unimportant, and in the process, we lose sight of what truly matters. The secret to mastering time lies in small, practical choices. Learn to schedule appointments with yourself just as you would with others, so that your most important work doesn't get pushed aside. Break big tasks into smaller steps so they feel manageable and less overwhelming. Pay attention to the times of day when your energy is highest, and use those hours for your most meaningful work. When you begin to plan your days with intention, you discover a powerful truth. Time is not something that slips away from us. It is something we can direct. And once you take charge of your time, you also take charge of your life. So remember, success is not about having more hours than anyone else. It's about making the hours you do have count. Don't waste them waiting. Don't complain about time. Use it, shape it, and guard it well, because in the end, How you spend your time is how you spend your life. It's okay to fail. Everyone else has. At some point in life, every one of us will stumble. We will face defeat, make mistakes, and experience failure. This is not a sign that something is wrong with us. It is simply part of being human. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is not whether they fail, but how they respond to failure. Failure has a way of shaking us. It can leave us frustrated, disheartened, and even convinced that all our effort was wasted. Many people stop at that point, believing failure is the end. But in truth, failure is never the end. It is a stepping stone. What truly matters is not how many times we fall, but what we learn each time we rise again. History gives us powerful reminders of this. Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors of all time, failed thousands of times before finally creating the light bulb. When asked about it, he didn't describe those attempts as wasted effort. Instead, he said, "I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work." For Edison, every failed attempt was not a defeat, but a discovery. With each trial, he knew he was getting closer to success. What set Edison apart was not just his brilliance, but his perspective. He viewed failure as a teacher. Instead of running from it, he embraced it. Each setback gave him knowledge, resilience, and new strategies to move forward. And that mindset, the willingness to learn from failure, is what ultimately led him to success. The same is true for us. Failure, no matter how big or small, always has something to teach. It shows us that things may not always go our way, but it also points us toward better paths. Often, what feels like a dead end turns out to be a redirection toward something greater. Failure also builds our strength. It stretches us, challenges us, and forces us to grow beyond our comfort zone. It teaches us patience, humility, and endurance. Most importantly, it teaches us that defeat is not permanent unless we choose to stop trying. So instead of fearing failure, we must learn to accept it as part of life's process. To fail is to be human. To rise after failure is to be wise. When we embrace our failures, we transform them from roadblocks into stepping stones. We discover courage we didn't know we had, and we learn lessons that no success alone could ever teach us. Every successful person you admire has failed, often many times more than you know. The only reason they reached success is because they kept going. And so can you. Failure is not something to fear. It is something to learn from, something to use, and something that will eventually lead you to your greatest victories. Conclusion. You've just explored some of life's greatest lessons, truths about attitude, habits, choices, time, failure, and what it really means to be successful. These are not abstract ideas. They are timeless principles you can apply in your daily life to live with more clarity, balance, and purpose. Maybe one lesson stood out to you more than the others. Maybe it was the reminder that success is more than money, or that habits quietly shape our destiny, or that failure isn't the end but a teacher. Whatever it was, take that lesson and start practicing it today. Because wisdom only becomes powerful when it's lived. Remember, the greatest power you carry is the freedom to choose your attitude, to choose your habits, to choose how you will face challenges, and create your future. Success is not something handed to you. It's something you build, one decision at a time. And if these lessons resonated with you, imagine what other life-changing insights you can discover from the books we share here. That's why I invite you to subscribe to Audiobook 101, where every week we bring you the best ideas on success, wealth, mindset, productivity, and personal growth. Stay inspired, keep learning, and remember, the choices you make today will shape the life you live tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next summary.